staying with me on stage because the stage will be still yours. I'm going to be able to rest a little bit because you're going to be the host for a little panel. Do you want to maybe let us know in 2 words what we're going to talk about in this next section?
Yeah, sure. So this next session is all about kind of the world of destinations and destination marketing. We have 3 amazing women from 3 different destinations that have been very active in marketing and in the whole world of kind of destinations, and they're going to give us kind of different perspectives on trends in the world of destination marketing. And then they're going to join me on the sofa, and we're going to have some discussion on maybe some debate on some of the things that we're going to hear.
Well, so the stage is yours. I'm going to let you invite your first panelist.
Okay. Well,
thank you. Give him a big round of applause, guys, please. Okay. Thank you.
Great. So first we have joining us on stage is Katarina Fisher from Tourismuszukumft, the future of tourism or tourism futures. Great. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and there's my first slide. As I only have 10 minutes, I really have to get into it, and no big presentation of mine. So let me talk a little bit about DMO challenges of today. And I brought 3 proposals with me today, and they are out of our white paper, Change for Destination. So in 2016, we had a cooperation with Innovation Norway, which is the tourism board of Norway, but they're not only promoting tourism, they're also responsible for other parts, promoting Norway abroad. And we come together with different experts from the tourism industry in Hamburg, in Germany, and we discuss the future of DMOs. So how they have to change, what are the challenges, what do we have to do to make them, more competitive with the global players, maybe restructure their organizations and make maybe the marketing in a way more effective and more current. And I brought you 3, as I said, proposals here. And the first one is open up your data silos. And I guess now you're thinking, oh my gosh, now she's talking about open data. Boring. But let me explain that. And let me be really practical here and give you an example of Germany. In Germany, we have a national tourist board, we have tourist boards in the states, we have tourist boards in the cities, we have tourist boards in the regions. And all of these tourist boards have their website, they have their database with content, and they're producing content, and they want to be present in the internet, in the online world, and they put their content out there, and they put a lot of money into their websites and a lot of money into advertising to be, in the search up right front and to be heard. And when you look at these databases, the content is not really good structures. You have pictures, you have videos, you have text. Often you have similar content for, equal places. For example, you have a castle, and the regional office has content for the castle, the national office has content for the castle, the city office has content for the castle. And why is that? In 2019. Why is not the case that we just have, for example, one database, one content database for a whole state? And we have that actually at the moment, for example, in Thuringia. Thuringia is a state in the east of Germany, and they got the huge step and the development to develop one content database for the whole state. And that data is open. So it can use by everyone. It can use by the city office, it can use by the regional office, it can use by the hotels, it can use by startups making maybe new innovations when it comes to apps or whatever it is. And it's open and it's usable for everyone. And that's actually the way to go. Because nowadays you compete with so many others out there. You compete with so many others with your content online. And you have to think the other way around. It's not your website anymore alone, and that brings me to my second proposal, in a way. It's other touch points as well. you can't not only think in your website. You have to step a little bit back from your website and see where are the other touch points and how can you get your data, your information to these other touch points. And that's why it makes sense to have just one content database for a whole state. And this content database supplies the content for everyone. And for example, they did also a hackathon. So it's like, you know, where all the nerds, the really creepy guys sometimes sitting behind their laptops, coming together in one place. And they have actually maybe sometimes 2 days, sometimes just 1 day. And they develop, based on that data, which is open, which they can use, new kind of applications. And they did so for Threee. Something which some smaller businesses, middle-scale businesses, never could have done because they do not have the capacity, they do not have the budget, they do sometimes not have the knowledge. But it's okay. The crucial point is to think around that, to think, how can I get this knowledge? How can I get this budget? How can I get these people involved working with my data? That I will be found not only via my website, that I will be found via other touch points. And that's why we say the end of the website, it's really bold, I know, but think about it. You are competing with so many others, and it's not your website anymore. There are other touch points, other platforms, and you have to think about how you get your information there. And that you need open data. Otherwise, it's really hard to realize. And the third one is really, in a way, the opposite to all the digital, what I have talked about, to all the data I mentioned, and to all the data banks and systems and architecture. It refers to the product. And I think it's really crucial, especially when we talk about DMOs, because many of them still, and they know that it's their structure and that is, you know, their task to do, because there are also some political issues involved in it. But many of them still just do marketing. But when you think of the tourism product, and we have heard this in the other presentations many times today, it is crucial to be exceptional. Because at the end of the day, you can have the coolest website, the coolest app, the coolest tools, whatever it is. If your product is shit, you will not convince anybody. And if it's not good, the world will know immediately. So that's why also tourism marketing organizations should more think as tourism management organizations. They should more, work with the destination, with the suppliers in the destination, with the regional offices, with the city offices, with, the smaller size, medium-sized businesses, in order to make the product exceptional. And this refers to more capacity putting into the destination, less capacity for general marketing. This refers to knowledge, provide knowledge for all these smaller suppliers in the destination. And in Germany, for example, we have many e-learning tools using by destination offices. So it's an e-learning platform wherever you are, you can log in and you can get right away information about social media, Google, advertising, whatever it is. And that's, one piece of so many. But, when we break it down to the operational business, what situation do we have? Sometimes we have 4 people dealing with a whole region, 4 people dealing not only with tourism aspects, dealing with other aspects of the location. So they don't have time to go to a workshop for a whole day. They don't have sometimes not the budget to do so. So how can we get the knowledge to the small-sized businesses? And e-learning is definitely a way to do so, and it's an affordable way to do so. And that is meant by that. E-learning, for example, with all the possibilities to transfer information, can also make the product greater and better. I'm looking forward to discuss this further, just in a nutshell. And I'm trying. I have still 1 minute. And I think we have further proposals in that white paper, so when you are interested, look it up. We're referring also, of course, to cross-border marketing. I think we have heard a lot about frictionless today, so the customer is, borderless in a way if he travels, for example, in a German-speaking market, so from Germany to Austria and then to Switzerland. He wants a seamless inspiration. He wants seamless information. And that refers actually, again, to the first slide, open data. Because when the data is open in that tourism offices, in that data banks, it can be used everywhere and from everyone. And you can have frictionless experiences for the customer. And that's why it's really a really relevant proposal, and it's really a really important proposal. And on the national level, for example, in Germany, the National Tourist Board is working with the National Tourist Board of Austria at the moment and with the National Tourist Board of Switzerland. And they creating, it calls DACH KG, a knowledge graph for the German-speaking markets in tourism. So a database where all the data is, in a way, from all the suppliers participating, to be competitive cross-border, to be competitive also in the European landscape, and to bring important information where they belong to the customer.
Great. Katarina, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit to talk about there. I've got about 6 questions I've written down. But so before we do that, I want to bring our next speaker to the stage. So please welcome from the Ljubljana. I've been working on pronouncing it Ljubljana, Ljubljana Tourism, Petra Stusek.
Great pronunciation, Douglas. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so we are talking about different DMOs today. What is a typical DMO? We have 2 DMOs in a panel today. We're both typical, but we are both very different one from another. What is the key? The key is, of course, that you cleverly adapt to your situation and that you work together, that you cooperate. So how did we do it? For us, the game changer was when we decided a bit more than a decade ago to completely close the city center for traffic. Completely. Not even the inhabitants are allowed to go in by the car. People went ballistic when we did that. But guess what? The life returned to the city center. Not only that, it expanded. So people would now go crazy if we would reopen. But beautification is not supposed to happen only in the city center or centers. What we did is we reshaped the suburbs as well. So the reshaping of the suburbs actually helps to gain the locals' trust into what municipality is doing. So we could introduce also other initiatives. So now you have the changed situation with a lot of possibilities of improvements. You see, Ljubljana is actually a city that enhances with its simplicity, small town friendliness, but also the cosmopolitan spirit and a lot of clever solutions. These electrical cars are called the Cavaliers, the gentle helpers, and the idea for them was born in our office. But the big bosses at the municipality actually liked the idea, so we partnered with the main bus company, and the local bus drivers are now driving these electrical cars throughout the vast pedestrian areas, and also the train to take people outside of the city center. We're working really hard on accessibility for everyone. That's why City introduced a lot of smart solutions for people to use, for example, the app for local buses, which is also adapted to the handicapped people. The tourist information centers were the first ones in Europe to introduce the electrical helper for the wheelchair. We also developed an app called Ljubljana by Wheelchair, which helps everyone, not only disabled people, to get to know Ljubljana points of interest in a really easy way. When we are planning tourism content and tourism infrastructure, the mobility and the accessibility to everyone is of great importance to us. We just recently introduced the app for electrical car sharing system, which is a very user-friendly, and people really love it. There is a hotel, a smart hotel, without the reception, paperless, and locals are intrigued. You can also use the app to locate one of the 60 bicycle sharing system stations, since the best way how to explore Ljubljana is on foot or by bike. Or you can use the app to find one of the 40 drinking fountains which are throughout the whole city. We have chemically untreated water, and we are proud of that, and we tell that to people. And on top, Ljubljana is also a very lively city with remarkable agenda of events, more than 14,000 per year. So now you have all this infrastructure, which you can put the content on it. What do you do with it? You put fun on it. With the help of digitalization and culture, you can actually lead people away from crowded areas to less crowded areas. You toss in few effects and it works. We partnered with NGOs to make the cultural districts outside of city center, and the first ones that were intrigued were the locals to go there. But what if you're dealing with less digitalized crowds? You give them old content in a new way. Who would know who Slovenian biggest architect, Slovenian biggest writer, or Slovenian biggest painter are? No one, except for us. And even for us was fairly dull in school. But if you consider the fact that all three of them had mustache, give the possibility to take over the personality of one of them, that's when the fun starts. People are co-creating this tour. When you're visiting local barbershop or the graphic atelier, you help the local community. And since you have people on bikes, this is a bike tour, you are actually taking them to the other parts of the city, again off beaten tracks, and boom, you're again managing the flows. But the culture is so much more. The culture is also food. So we introduced in Ljubljana in 2015 the project called Green Supply Chains. The actual goal of it was to connect the local farmers, we have around 720 of them around Ljubljana, with local hotels, bars, restaurants, hotel restaurants, even bars, schools and kindergartens. And with a good story behind it, everyone was on board. So now, today, more than 10 tons per year of local production is exchanged, and people have on their plates, locals and visitors, the fresh food. But with food, you can also do deseasonalization. For us, that's fairly important because November is not the prettiest month to do vacationing. But if you toss in November Gourmet, or in January Ljubljana Cup, or in February Ljubljana Food Summit, so if people know that when they come, they will have fun, they will cook, they will learn, they will just maybe watch, they will have great food, interesting food tours, they will go off beaten tracks, they will meet local chefs, they will meet celebrity chefs. When they know it, they will come, even if it's a low season. But also connected to food is Ljubljana is actually the first capital in Europe which declared the zero waste goal. So the city actually implemented the vast underground waste collection system, and this is how the bins look like when they come up, just to put the trash in. So the result is that the city is really clean, that we don't have any trash bins in the city center, and we have the highest percentage of separation in Europe. And you tell people that, they're interested, and they will come to see that. Because of that, we also have so-called garbage tourism. My point is actually that if you that the content is the queen, even the basic content can make you a really good product. And whatever you do, you don't do only with passion, but also with compassion, and with a special focus on locals, because when the locals love it, so will all of our visitors. Thank you very much.
Hey, just Petra, really quick. So the city recently, you won an award, right?
Yes.
Can you just... I just want to call that out. So, a Green City Award for tourism.
We were actually in 2016. We were European Capital of European Green Capital. But last week in Helsinki, we just won a title from European Commission, the European Capital of Smart Tourism in the field of digitalization.
Yeah, well, it's amazing.
Thank you.
Can see why. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so lots to talk about there, especially around sustainability. But now I'd like to bring our third speaker to the stage. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Helsinki Marketing, Tia Hallanoro.
Thank you. What an exciting time to be in Athens. It's just, I love the city. I've been to Spetses before, and this time I had the pleasure to spend more days in Athens, and it's been amazing. I work for the city of Helsinki, and it's a great time to work for a city. As you guys living in Greece, and especially in Athens, know, cities are the powerhouses of the future. You've always been a powerhouse. Mainly because cities have the ability to innovate, create new. And that's actually what excited me about Helsinki. My background is not in travel. I come from advertising and digital design. But Helsinki is my hometown, of course, so I'm super enthusiastic about it. But the city is an underdog. How many of you have been to Helsinki? Well, quite many, but not enough. Because Finland is the happiest nation in the world. We have one of the best qualities of life, and we have a very sizzling cultural and food scene in Helsinki, but not enough people know about it. So we're an underdog. We lack the resources and the budgets of our neighbors, for example, Stockholm and Copenhagen. So we just try to do things differently and react differently. I love the hashtag here at the CT conference today. When I started a couple of years ago, we started with the very basics, creating a website. We used to have visithelsinki.fi, that was a bit outdated, dusty to be honest, monumental, the best site, for example, but we knew and we had the insight that that's not what the travelers or the talent that we wanted to attract are interested about. So we based everything on genuine recommendations. We wanted to have the best local tastemakers, the recommendations that you could actually trust. And we created a site that is totally user-generated content. So when you go to myhelsinki.fi, you can be certain that it's something that the locals will recommend. We've had a quite impressive growth rate. This year we have 4 million visitors on our site. It's more than we've ever had before. Considering Helsinki is a small city, just combine the Helsinki region, we only have 1 million inhabitants. It's a lot for us. But we also have a local audience these days, and that sort of gives the service promise that the authentic content that we create is also authentic for the locals themselves. So that's what we are really proud. But the My Helsinki concept is not only on myhelsinki.fi. We have also collaborated with Tencent during the last couple of years. And we've been one of the first cities to create a mini program co-developed with Tencent themselves and designed in Helsinki. My team and the team of IDN were collaborating with Tencent for this year. And it's an exciting case study that I'm going to walk you through today. When you look at the video that I'm going to show you next, and listening to the previous speakers telling about WeChat as an ecosystem that can just expand, we know that Helsinki is not the final destination for the Chinese traveling to Europe. It's the layover destination where they might spend a couple of hours or a couple of days. So we tried to have the best possible experience for them and combined everything that they would want to have during their customer journey and make it as seamless as possible, smooth as possible. You might not know the language, you might not be used to even traveling abroad, so how could we lower the barrier to actually enjoy the city and see and get the most out of it? And of course, get the travelers off the beaten path as well, because we know that in Helsinki we're not suffering from it yet, but I'm not sure if Athens, if the case is different here in Greece. Over-tourism is one of the things that we all need to look solutions for.
Imagine visiting an unfamiliar city where you don't know what to do or how to get around, and you don't understand the language. In situations like that, wouldn't you wish you had a local friend who knows exactly what you like to show you around? Now there's an app to help you with that, if you're one of over 1 billion WeChat users. Discover the best local experiences. Find the easiest way to get to them. And to top it off, pay for everything within the same service. The My Helsinki mini program, developed in cooperation with Chinese tech giant Tencent, combines the city's open data about locations, events and activities with 100% genuine tips from locals. It's easy to use, always up to date, and gives you the real local experience. The mini program's user interface brings together all the information you need to create an ultimate guide to the city. The result is a smooth and smart travel experience that doesn't yet exist anywhere else in the world. Here, Helsinki is serving as a model of intelligent tourism for China's new generation of travellers. In the future, the My Helsinki mini program will even create a curated, personalised travel day schedule, complete with activities and transportation based on the user's profile, much like a local friend would.
So yeah, it's been live for a couple of months now, so just if anyone is interested, I can of course give you the QR code for it. It's everyone who lands to Helsinki and is a WeChat user gets a promoted ad, so that's how we drive traffic to the mini program. We cooperate with Tencent quite closely, and we still look forward to, for example, collaborating with Finnair to include flights, sort of the starting point of the whole customer journey. And let's see how it evolves. We do know that Tencent is looking for possibilities to scale up to other cities in Europe. They have a hackathon in Berlin in collaboration with TechCrunch later in November, if I remember correctly. And it's all about ecosystems, basically. So just imagine if the layovers tourist would get the experience, the customer journey starting from Helsinki, or even better from the starting destination of where they start their flights, and it would continue all the way to, for example, Athens. That would be the final destination, or just any destination in Greece. So very smooth, and especially for the new generation of Chinese travelers that are used to doing everything in WeChat. I agree with Katarina that web is dead, especially in China. They don't use web sites anymore, because why would they? WeChat is so convenient. You can do everything within the same service. But I'm also super enthusiastic about sustainability. And as I was saying before, we're not, for the Chinese, Helsinki is a layover destination. Finnair has been doing an excellent job. They are the fastest route from Asia to Europe. But we're not really looking for growth, absolute growth. We're looking for sustainable growth, which is a difficult thing to master. And it needs to be said out loud that it's not only Greta from our neighboring Sweden who said it out loud, that we are all part of the problem when we work for the travel industry. So that sort of makes us liable for looking for solutions together as well. So that's the starting point for a service that we launched this summer. It's on myhelsinki.fi. The insight was that what if sustainable choices could be embedded into your everyday lifestyle? What if they could be as easy as using your favorite app? many people would like to make more sustainable choices, but they don't really know what it means, what it requires. And we also understood that many service providers were very enthusiastic about improving their own services, making them more sustainable, but they needed tools, means to do so, and a platform to do so. So basically, we've been using our platform for action, helping the very progressive entrepreneurs in Helsinki to make their services more sustainable. We created a criteria that is 100% transparent and also a toolbox of sustainability. I'm running a bit over time, I'm sorry, but if I can show you the final video that could give you the idea of the service.
Ilmasto lämpenee. Se on fakta. Jotain pitäisi tehdä. Ei vain odottaa, että joku toinen tekee jotain jossain muualla. Muutos tarvitaan nyt. Sekä isoja rakenteellisia ratkaisuja, että arjen tekoja. Helsinki on sitoutunut tarjoamaan vastuullisemman elämäntavan ihan jokaiselle kaupunkilaiselle. Meillä kaikilla on mahdollisuus valita vastuullisemmin, miten syödä, liikkua ja viettää vapaa-aikaa. Mikään teko ei ole liian pieni tai merkityksetön. Pienistä teoista syntyy iso muutos, kun tarpeeksi suuri joukko tekee oikeita valintoja. Tehdään Helsingistä paras paikka elää, myös tuleville sukupolville. Arkisia valintoja helpottamaan keräsimme parhaat suositukset yhteen paikkaan. Valitse vastuullisemmin. myhelsinki.fi.
Thank you. If someone is very interested about the criteria, it's transparent. You can have a look at it. It's on myhelsinki.fi. We also look for new partners. We want to scale this up. The toolbox is for everyone to use. For example, I know that you guys work mostly for the hotel industry, if I understood correctly. We've been pitching the idea for Airbnb because we already know that the hotel industry, especially in Finland, is quite progressive, but Airbnb is not that progressive just yet. So we created this mock site of Zero B&B just to show that it's possible to use the same criteria and scale it to other services. So basically, Zero B&B is just a mock site. It's actually live if you Google it, zerobnb.com, and it just gave the idea of how about if you would have the sustainable accommodations choices just easily available for you, and give the host an incentive to do more sustainable choices as well. So that's for me. Let's continue the discussion, I suppose.
Tia Hallanoro, thank you. So. Great, yeah, Pia, please. There's a lot to talk about. There are a lot of big topics. I just want kind of one follow-up for you. So the initiative with WeChat is actually it's quite interesting. So two questions there. So one is whenever a destination, a DMO gets into kind of the marketing initiative, to me it's like the perennial question. The fundamental question is how do you, because generally DMOs are not booking, they're not, you don't have a clear metric. So how are you approaching this initiative with WeChat in terms of measurement? What are you going to look at, 3 months, 12 months down the line? You're going to say, okay, this was successful, or time to stop and, do something else?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, this was a test for Tencent as well. They wanted to make the best possible mini program and to scale it to other cities. So we basically didn't have the pressure for it to be successful. We know that volume-wise, we're not the biggest destination of Paris, London, Athens, you name it. I mean, we are the underdog, and no one is coming to Helsinki first. When you have once been to Athens or Rome or Paris, you might consider Helsinki afterwards. So they basically didn't really want to have the most users for it. They wanted to have the best design, and that's what we were able to do. We had a very good design team, my design team, combined with the IDN team, service design company in Helsinki, but also global these days. And that combined to the Tencent's heavy, I mean, they are so good in development. The tech side of Tencent is just amazing. They're super fast, super quick to adapt. And I think, someone was saying it before, that basically it's happening in China, innovation. It's not, they are not copycats anymore. Basically, they invent things themselves and they adapt.
The things like when I look at kind of what's, especially in mobile, like the things that are happening in mobile, like in the case of WeChat, like it's an ecosystem. There are services that you can do. I mean, to your point, that the web is almost. In fact, we had a presentation at one of many presentations now where it's mobile first or it's app first, and it's web. It's almost web is almost, even in China, web is like, if you don't get around to it, it's okay. Like, would you guys, Petra, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about China, definitely, but you have to consider basically everyone who comes. So you need to have a good collage of all the possibilities to actually please your first locals and then visitors.
So then, so that gets to a fundamental question, with DMOs. I mean, to me, in some ways, I think like you have the hardest job within travel and tourism, because you have to serve, you have to market to many different markets. You have to serve many different masters within your constituents, within your destination, your hotel partners, your local government. How do you balance and strategically, how do you prioritize? Like, how do you structure that? I mean, Katarina, how would you advise, just kind of fundamentally, what are the key kind of priorities for a DMO, especially in 2019, 2020?
Yeah, I think I can, sorry for my voice, actually my ear infection went down to my voice now. But I can refer to the open data topic again, because I know sometimes it sounds actually again boring when we mention data, but it's so important, and it's with data I mean content, and that's what we all have as destinations on different levels. And I think the really important point is for DMOs to work closer, as I said, into the destination, and to really because they have this huge task to reach different target groups from different countries with different issues, with different needs, to really combine the power they already have. They have extremely good knowledge about their location. They are so, some of them are so deep into niche products. Some of them are really educated when it comes to a certain product, how to sell it actually, not just sell it in a way, make a picture and put it online, how to really sell it. And to combine that knowledge, I think, is really important, and to combine the power each of these different stakeholders have in the destination and to put it together. And this example of this database for just one state, or this national database, is actually a step in the right direction, because it fulfills, on the one hand, the need, especially this smaller kind of organization have, and it fulfills on the other side also a kind of political need to present the country or the region best, and to get the data to where it has to be.
How would you characterize kind of the state of destination marketing organizations today from that perspective? Is what you're talking about, are there kind of best case examples we can look towards, or are you just putting a goalpost out there?
No, it's actually happening in Germany and in the DACH, so Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. But of course, it's not everyone involved. We have, I would say, 80% of the tourism offices, cities, regions, they are not involved in that. So we have to be quite frank here. But I think that we actually have a working committee for these countries where smaller tourism offices are involved, where suppliers involved, because we can make that wish and we can have this idea, but we also need the suppliers, the agencies realizing that. And the market is so segmented when it comes to different suppliers for online mapping, trailing mapping, whatever it is. But that's actually the really useful data I want to have as a customer when I'm in the destination. And the tourism office can't supply it. So we need these suppliers as well. And of course, we have still to go a long, long way. But it's happening, and I see results, for example, in Threee with their content database for the whole state. But it's, of course, really hard work, and you have to convince a lot of people that this is the right way. Yeah.
But on a practical level, you need to, you as a tourist office, DMO, whoever, you who are orchestrating the whole development and promotion on the destination, you need to sit down with your different stakeholders several times per year. You need to sit down with your hotelier association, with tourist guides, with whoever is making the tourism offer, and get to know them well, and also explaining them what are you developing on destination. Two-way communication, and especially you have to really consider that you don't have too good of promotion, so you don't then deliver when people are coming to your destination. This is a crucial point, that the promotion goes hand in hand with the actual offer, because too good of promotion gives you, even in a short term, let alone long term, a lot of damage.
Petra, so one thing I want to ask you, so in your presentation, you really didn't talk much about, like you talked about the city as a product, but you didn't actually talk really about the products within your city. You didn't really talk about, say, attractions or experiences or hotels. So how do you, and how would you advise, say, destinations kind of thinking about that and prioritizing? I guess from an outsider, kind of my impression working with hotels, and I have more of an American point of view, but I think like for DMOs there's kind of a pecking order, right? Like, okay, hotels get the most love, and then we kind of work our way down. I mean, how do you guys think about it? How would you advise a destination today?
You have to spread the love among everyone. That's the key, actually. But of course, I couldn't go deeper into it in the time that I've had. But the key for us is really, like I said, we sit down every year several times. If we are focusing now on hoteliers, we actually ask them, what do you need? Tell us what do you need. What do you lack? What can we provide you? But also that is what we need from you. So that's how we work together. But the key is that we really, really are sitting down together. That's the.
So, Tia, I want to ask you. So, sorry, the WeChat thing to me is really interesting. So I have another couple more questions there. So, and going back to kind of the data piece. So one of the things that I could see with the future of this product, when you have hopefully a really nice percentage of visitors who are using WeChat, not just Chinese. I'm a WeChat user, but not just Chinese. Although, now is it in multiple languages, or do I have to read? Is it only in Chinese right now?
At this point, it's only in Chinese. We serve the English-speaking and other languages on myhelsinki.fi, but it's only for the Chinese-speaking at this point.
So, but I could see so once you start to really get some scale, that you could start to see things like, okay, if you have access to the data, so where are your travelers going?
Exactly.
How much time are they spending there?
Exactly.
What are they doing? And then how do you adjust and give feedback to your, so is that part of the grand plan?
That is. Yes, actually, we have access to the data. Tencent owns the data, but we have access to it. But also, we collaborated with a local startup a scale-up called Mass Global with their product WIM. It's a smart mobility service that combines all methods of transportation into one application. So basically what we did, we just combined these two APIs, My Helsinki Open API that combines all the service providers of Helsinki. That means accommodation places such as restaurants, shops, etc., and events to one database. And we combined it with the WIM API that combines all the transportation methods. And we got this ecosystem that is not available in anywhere else at this point. I mean, I would love to have such an application when I visit, for example, Athens. It's a bit difficult to get around, to be honest, because if you don't know the city and if you don't speak the language and you cannot even read the language at some point, the public transportation system can be a bit tricky. But going back to your initial question, yes, that is the plan. I mean, what I said in my presentation, we don't have the problem of over-tourism just yet. But if we look at in the future, I mean, one-fourth of the whole global tourism is going to be Chinese, so we never know how it will expand. Copenhagen is already saying that the situation has changed quite fast, so we try to solve the problems before they occur.
So, sustainability, so you both in particular have touched on it. So, and in particular with Ljubljana, by the end of the conference, I will have that word down. So, what you showed there, I'm going to bet that the DMO was not solely responsible for all of that. So you've got lots of engagement with local government. I mean, very quickly, like how do you, as a DMO, how do you best work with your partners there? What advice can you give?
Well, you have to have a wise head. That's to start with. Without that, it's impossible to implement this type of things. But most of all, you have to have before the vision, but before that you have to have the courage to make the bold moves, even if usually they're not the most popular. Changes are usually not popular in general. That's how we roll, the mankind. So you have to have the courage and the vision. What's going to happen? Tell people over and over and over again, and initially they start to trust you. So each next big thing that changed in Ljubljana resulted in less resistance.
Can I actually add to that? Because I think what you guys have been doing in Ljubljana is just infrastructural. It's huge. So you've had the impact to change the whole city as a DMO, which is amazing. We try to do the same thing, but our perspective is a bit different. We work with the local service providers. We give them an initiative to improve their own services, to make them more sustainable. What we see with the criteria, that once you have this sort of completes 10 out of 17 of the criteria, and the neighboring hotel or service provider, whatever it is, completes 17 out of 17, you don't want to be the 10 out of 17, even though that would make you sustainable. You want to be the 17 out of 17. So it's a positive flywheel that just like keeps on giving, and people have been changing and giving like out best practices, sort of getting out of the like ecosystems to actually developing an ecosystem where you can share the knowledge that you have. And the positive flywheel effect is something that we try to create. And of course, we promote those service providers that actually do these changes. We've had massive changes, for example, renewable energy changes to many service providers, shopping centers, hotels. So that's just the starting point. And this has happened within like a couple of months.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's so much to talk about with sustainability for sure, but we have to leave it there. Tia, Petra, Katarina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.